as you know, I've been loving Limbus Company, and we got this video here, which I don't know if I agree with the title off the bat. The gacha game that refuses to sell first. Brother, look, I'm just saying, it's not Gooner, but I'm thirsty. I'm incredibly thirsty. But, jokes aside, it's one thing that is different about Limbus Company, right? It is very unique in its look. It really is a game that seems to sell the cool factor, but it all is very within the game. It feels canon, if you will. Now, I know obviously we've got the IDs and stuff, but it all fits the style of the game. They're not just there for the sake of selling sex, if you will, or the sexiness, even though some of the characters look incredible. It's just quite different in that regard. And the game has a quite unique art style anyway, doesn't it? So, let's see what Alden Falla Gaming has to say here. The gacha game that refuses to sell first. Let's drop a like and let's get into it, man. It's been a while since we had a Limbus React, actually. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go.
You already know
you're thirsty for your sheep. To be fair, hold up. There was that one scene with Don. That was definitely a thirsty scene, if you ask me. That was definitely a thirsty scene. And I know people went wild over that, yeah. But yeah. I know a lot of people are thirsty for fishy.
You already know the gacha industry is built on thirst.
True.
This isn't a moral judgment. This is just their business model, guys. Yep. They sell PNGs with clean. I
love that though, actually, where within this space, people like to pretend that they're somehow better than the other parts of the space that are goonery. Now, of course, there are some that are objectively more gooner than other games, of course. And I'll admit, some games I don't really like it when it's too, but that's just a personal thing. I don't judge people who do, right? I'm not really into the ultra gooner stuff. And I'll even admit, Nikkei, I think it's a good game, but the character proportions for me, not a big fan of. But hey, all up for the people who love that, right? But I definitely do think it's funny when I see people in the gacha space who act like their game isn't trying to sell them something similar. Well, you know, you can't see everything in the game that I play, whereas in that game, you can pretty much. It's like they're all selling the same thing, right? You know, it's just levels, right? There's just levels.
And call it character design. They monetize the moment you think, well, she seems cool. Yep. You know what that means. Limbus Company sells PNGs of broken people in trench coats. No jiggle physics, no swimsuit alts, no oops, my shirt's ripped animations. And it's making more money than 90% of them. Here's how and why almost nobody else will be able to copy it.
I always wonder how much Limbus is making, right? Because obviously, we only ever get the mobile stuff for Limbus, don't we? Where I don't know percentage-wise what's on Steam compared to the mobile market, but it's got a massive base on PC. And I've heard, not directly, because I've never looked at any interviews or any quotes from the CEO, but I've heard people talk about that they have done more than well to support themselves for multiple years to come. So it makes me think that probably it is skewed quite heavily to PC then, right? And because you see some large numbers on Steam, like 100,000 plus people playing sometimes, averaging like 30 to 40,000 people playing on a daily basis as well. You've only got to have a small percent of those spending, and you're going to be doing more than well, aren't you? You're going to be doing well. The mobile version is hot garbage. Is it really? Is it? Okay. What do you mean in terms of like what it just runs bad, or it's just not a good game to play on? Because you'd think with being like a visual novel style game in the way the combat is, it feels like it'd work perfectly on mobile, right?
The thing about
was it like UI and stuff?
Nobody wants to say out loud, and well, I'm going to say it. The product is not the gameplay. The product is the characters, and you're pulling for a JPEG because that JPEG activates something in your brain.
I think it's hard to argue against that, right? Like, ultimately, the gameplay is the core of the product, but let's face it, when it comes to gacha games, a lot of the time, they don't drastically change over time. The difference is new units, right? So, yeah, it's hard to argue with that, right? This is why, for me, I love Arknights, because over time, there's just so many different things to the game. And it's not just about characters, right? It's about the stage mechanics and events and stuff that really add new things to the game, which a lot of gacha games don't do. It's why, because being a newer gacha gamer, I'll be interested to see how long I'll stick at different gacha games, right? I played we were from day one, lasted about a year. I'm playing Enfield now. I've been playing Arknights for almost a year, and I'm still locked in. Be interested to see with Limbus. With Limbus, it's different though, because I'm here for the narrative more than anything else. But yeah, I think you need an advancement in gameplay. But yeah, it's fair to say that the product is the characters, right? It is.
Makes you want to reach for your wallet. And the easiest way to activate that thing, the most reliable way, the way that works across every culture and every demographic, is to make the character attractive. And that's not complicated, and they're not even trying to be subtle with this. Take Genshin Impact. Raiden Shogun pulls a sword out of her cleavage. She's the Electro Archon, the god of eternity, and she's dressed like she's hosting a late night talk show on a premium cable channel. The design is not about eternity. The design is about, look at her. Then we've got Nike, and I mean, where do you eat?
Nike? Is that what we're calling it? Nike? Man, okay.
Even start. The gameplay is just aiming at things while the game shakes the characters on your screen, like a bartender mixing a martini. The entire value proposition is...
I actually quite like Nikkei, and some of the characters do look great, right? But again, I think Brown Dust does it as well a little bit, right? You know, that sort of hyper-exaggerated frame sometimes where, like, hey, I like a thick girl, but, you know, when it's like, the hips are insanely thick and the boobs are just like gigantic. It's like, for me, it goes a little bit too far, right? It's not even that like, oh, this is so goonerish. It's just like, yeah, it's a little bit disproportionate now for me in terms of what I think looks like good. Because again, although I like a sexy character, I like characters that just look cool, right? And I think when characters get a little bit too outsized, shall we say, a little bit too thick in certain areas, it loses a little bit of the appeal for me in terms of how cool the designs look like, you know what I mean?
Shoots robots, goon to the thing. Hokai Star Rail is a bit more restrained, sure.
I gotta say, still, to this day, I think Kafka is one of my favourite looking characters. Her design, insane, still to this day. She's like, if not the best design for me, still top 5, top 3. In terms of, like, character design. Insane character, man.
But Kefka's jacket has no shirt under it. Silver Wolf shorts might as well just be body paint. And every limited 5-star trailer spends roughly 40% of its time on angles that are, let's call them architectural?
Needed.
Azure Lane.
That's what we'll call them.
Order.
Absolutely needed. Those angles are. They are imperative to the plot. Absolutely. If they were not there, it wouldn't make sense, man. It wouldn't make sense. I'd play Nikkei if the gameplay didn't evolve into watching Nikkei twerk. Yo, what's going on, Easy? BS, welcome to the stream as well. What's going on, Leech? I think I started watching this and stopped because it was just saying, like, standard opinion stuff. Yeah, so far. Which, hey, I'm okay for that sort of stuff. But, yeah, there's nothing that's, I guess a hot take here, right? Or openers. Well, I'm going to give it time.
Woothering waves. The pattern holds. Hot characters. Lingering trailer. You pull, they profit. Round
what was that from?
And round we go. And I'm not
telling you
this as someone who actually
the
plays these games. I'm telling you this as someone who didn't. For years, I stayed away from the entire gacha space specifically because of this.
Okay.
Every time I looked at one of these games, I saw the same thing. A character with more cleavage than Tsunade and wearing less than that.
Girls Frontline 2 is crazy as well. The scene when you click on her character as well is ridiculous. Yeah, see, I stayed away from the gacha space for a while as well, but it had nothing to do with the character design for me at all. It was just that I thought that we're all hot garbage gambling games based on shitty gameplay loops that were like AFK mobile gaming loops and were PNG pictures, which for a long time there was, but this is more like post-Genshin. I had this attitude because I only really come to Gacha in like 2023. So like Genshin launched and being a normie gamer, I was, you know, Battle Royale still at that point for me, you know, extraction shooters. That was my thing. That was what I wanted to play all the time. And obviously I knew about Genshin because Genshin was the one game that managed to do that, right? Not being in the Gacha space then. I knew about Genshin. And I was just like, oh, that's the game that's like Zelda, but it's just probably worse. And it's just wants to rinse you with your money. I didn't actually realise, like, you know, it's a solid game. I know people hate Genshin Impact now. But after playing it, you know, it was Genshin that was the gateway drug for me because it made me realise, oh, okay, shit. A lot of these are just like RPGs, right, that just want to rinse you, which they are. But, hey, you know, the entrance bar is really low, right? So,
woman who assists you in Code Vein. I rejected the genre wholesale because I didn't want to be that guy. The guy pulling for a PNG because the artist understood where to put the curves and, well, the lack of cloth.
Bro, they're ridiculous.
I didn't want to be the person who had to hide my computer screen when someone walked in because it definitely didn't look like what it was supposed to be looking like at that time. Which is exactly why Limbus Company caught me off guard, because when I first saw it, when Mons forced me to play it for
when people say Gacha, first thought is something like, right, yeah, and that shitty Star Wars game, yeah, pretty much right. You think of something that's like very little substance there, very little game, right? And like it's 90% spending and clicking on menus and gambling, and then like 10% game, maybe a little bit more, right? That was always my perception as well, which of course there are some games like that, and there were a lot more back in the day, but now a bit more is demanded, right? Of course you've still got your AFKs type games and stuff like that, but in general, right, you know, and obviously, after playing Genshin, Star Rail, ZZZ, Wua, Enfield, Limbus, Arc Knights, Reverse 1999, and other games as well, the Gacha space does have a lot more to offer than you first think of, doesn't it, really? Of course, it's always hindered by, I guess, monetization impressions, which is, I don't think that's ever going to change for most people, but I guess it's slowly changing now, specifically in the West. You know, more people are coming around to it.
The first time, I was waiting for the catch. I was waiting for the one character whose design broke the pattern. The one ID where the artist clearly got the make it marketable note. And that never truly came.
See, like, I disagree that they were never marketed. They don't come with the let's make it marketable. I think they do, but they do it with the core philosophy, or at least it seems like to me, of it being connected intrinsically to the games world, and that comes inherently with a particular kind of design. But I think the thing that a lot of companies forget nowadays, that cool isn't just about like what we see in the gacha space, right? And anime isn't just about the typical look that we get in regards to gacha games and what people think of when they think of anime, right? That you do have this side of things as well. And I think that a lot of the characters in this game are incredibly marketable, but of course, sex sells, doesn't it, right? And sexy anime girls definitely sell, don't they? So I am really glad they go down the route that they go down, because it all adds just that little bit of extra special sauce, I think, to the whole thing, doesn't it? Like, you know, it feels like, again, the way they monetize the game, that of course they want to make money, but it's like an extra thing on top of making a good game, right? Project Moon, and specifically Limbus Company itself, feels like a passion project, doesn't it? Like, that's what I get from it. It genuinely feels like a passion project game. And of course, people could say, well, that can't be true because it's gacha. Oh, I don't know, man. It really does come across as a passion project to me.
Project Moon looked at this entire machine.
Holy shit,
said,
brother.
Nope. And
so that's the sort of stuff I'm talking about.
How
like,
weird that is for a second. The playable characters are literally called sinners. You have 12 condemned souls working off their crimes in a hell bus. If there was ever a naming convention that sets you up for a lurid edgy, you're going to make these characters look like they stepped out of some kind of dark fantasy thirst trap It's sinners. They're the easiest layup in character design history. They're sinners. So make them look sinful. You can pretty much justify anything. You can put anyone in anything. The name gives you cover. And Project Moon dressed them like they're going on a business meeting with God. You've got in-court Merceau.
I get what he's saying there, but I know he's maybe coming at it from like a reductive angle specifically for what he's saying, but it's because they actually care about the design, right? And I'm not saying he's arguing against what I'm saying here. It's because that it just I think as well that if they did go down that route, I think it'd be worse. It would genuinely be worse for it, wouldn't it? Because the style of the game, everything fits within the style of the world. Because for me, the thing that I think sells Limbus Company, it's the narrative, right? You know, when we said earlier at the start of the video that the product isn't necessarily the gameplay, it's the characters. Where I think with Limbus Company, it's the narrative, right? That's the main product here, is you're here for the narrative, I think, for most people. Now, of course, there's some people who really like the gameplay, like me, still learning it, but really like the gameplay. And then, of course, learning new characters, getting new characters, kits, trying stuff out, all that sort of stuff as well. But I think for most people, the most important part of Limbus Company is the narrative, right? And I think if they went down that route, I don't think it would be this home run, as he says it would be, right? Because I think it would detract from what Limbus Company is in a really detrimental manner, I do. Now, could they get away with a bikini character here and there? Maybe, but I honestly don't think most players would appreciate it, right? As again, it would. I'm saying it would disrespect the game and the art that is the game. It's maybe a strong word, but I think it would be detrimental. But then again, actually, no. I was just about to say, would I mind a bit of a sexy Ryoshu? No, actually, because she's sexy, because she's a fucking badass, right? And I think, yeah, I don't think I'd want to see that. I wouldn't want to see that, actually.
With a full set of armor, fanatical cult cape, mask covering half of his face, and you could barely even see an inch of this character's skin. He's out here covering up like he's got bad eczema or something. And somehow, this is a gacha character in the business model that survives by making you want the character. And you cannot see most of his goddamn face.
Again, though, for me, it's like, of course, sexiness sells, but if you make a good product, that just sells as well, right? It's just a lot harder to make a good product and be successful in that regard. It's a lot easier to make something that's sort of just there and then really use your art department and sexy anime waifus to really do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? Where I feel like just being a good product and then having awesome characters and then having awesome characters in these alters is just fucking, you know, it's cool, right? It's cool. Yo, Duck Lord, what's going on? Like I said, the same about Reverse 1999. It never really tries to sell you the goon. Yeah. Reverse 1999 is another game like that, right? That's I think the art direction seems like it's incredibly important to the developers, right? I've said this before, and I think this game definitely does challenge as well. But Reverse 1999 for me, thematically and artistically, I think it's probably the coolest gacha game out there in terms of like the different designs of characters and just the style. I think that's what I'd say. That game has fucking style, right? It's got drip without like having to go down that route, right? Like, Christ, you've got some characters that look like Victorian women, don't they? But they look fucking badass. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Reverse 1999's the same in that regard as well. Yeah.
What is the design communicating? It's communicating that Merceau has subsumed his identity into the fanaticism of the Negel and Hammer. The mask isn't hiding him, the mask is him. That's character work through design, guys. Ring Raja, full-length dress suit, high collar, covered arms. She looks like she's attending a funeral in like 1920s Russia.
But hear this for me, yeah. This is sexy, right? This is sexy. Right, I know it's not necessarily thirst, but this is sexy. This is where I went back to before, that sexiness doesn't just have to be less clothes, right? You know, I know in the modern day world, we think, well, especially when it comes to women, well, obviously, more skimpy the outfit, the sexier it is. Nah, man. That's what I say. For me, Ryoshu going down that route would kind of ruin it because she's hot because the design, right, you know, and her being more badass and more covered up, it makes it all the better. Like, this is sexy as fuck, and what she's showing, and her neck and her face, you know, it's hot, man.
Which she kind of is. The ring is a death cult that treats art and murder as the same gesture. The design makes you feel the weight of the world before anyone even speaks a word about it.
Women in suits is peak.
So we got Capo Merceau, a suit. Mind you, it's a very nice suit. He's a mafia enforcer, and
that's
he
badass.
dresses like one.
So you got a gun blade or something.
This is an organization that runs on hierarchy and respect. The visual language is, this man will kill you, but they'll do it politely. W Corp Don Quixote, literally a work uniform. She is a training employee that looks like one that's been fused with a cop of sorts.
Yeah.
Still,
again, it comes back to the narrative, right? It's where I say, like, I think Project Moon understands, and well, they want it as well, right? The narrative is the product in this game, right? And it feels like everything is designed with that in mind, right? To come back to the narrative, to the lore, to the world building, to this setup they've given you. So, of course, the character needs to kind of fit that rather than it just, well, let's get the boobs out, boys. You know what I mean?
a train employee. No version of this design was routed through a committee that asked, but will the players want to pull for her? Yes, I'm still doing this. We need more examples, like with K Corp Hong Lu. A suit again. Elegant, understated. A full body combat suit with this half-mask stuff. Most games will show so much skin, and Limbus be out here covering half the face and showing even less of their characters. The kind of outfit that's...
Yeah, I think a lot of games are scared to do that, right, in covering faces. Now, I understand why sometimes. We saw it with NTE, right? They decided to... I don't know if the character does have his mask up at sometimes or down. Sometimes, you know, Chaos. Initially, mask up at first when we first saw him, right? But now masks off, right? And I'll sort of get it with that one, because I think even though the character looked fine with the mask on, it kind of gave it an NPC sort of look. Again, it's all about the level and quality of the design as well, right? You can have a character that really doesn't show anything, even the face, and it be badass. But again, I think that comes down to the actual quality of the character designs at the end of the day, right? So yeah, not all dev teams are equal in that sense, right? They don't all have the same level of artistic design going on in the game, do they?
Dreams, I'm fully protected. No bikini armor or its barbarian equivalent for the males. 7 Otis, a military dress uniform.
It's fire, right? It's fire. Like, you can't tell me that ain't sexy. That I am thirsty as hell for that, right? This game sells thirst, man. I was joking at the start when I said, like, let me show you Ryoshu. This game sells thirst. But this game does sell thirst. I think it sells in a more regal manner, right? A more formal manner, rather than just it being a blatant, in your face kind of thirst, right? You know, and I think this is probably, now I think these women feel like this as well, but this is definitely when, you know, I guess men see things in anything a lot of the time, right? You know, women exist, men, like, oh my god. But yeah, this is sexy as fuck, man.
With a pimp cane, but she looks like she's about to give you a performance review, and well, you're about to fail it. There's a version of this game designed by another studio, maybe through a mirror world, where in-court Merceau has his mask off with his jawline sharp enough to cut glass and his cape open for no reason other than to show his...
Hold up now, Bucko. Okay, Bucko.
Where Ring Raja has strategic cutouts, where W Corp Dawn is in, I don't know, booty shorts for some reason. Project Moon didn't do that.
It's like, see, that stuff looks fine, right? But it's not Limbus. That's how I feel anyway.
Down this path. Every ID is designed to serve the world and the character's place in it, not the player's gaze. The sinner is the same person in a different context, and the clothes tell you what that context is. Sinners dress like they answer to something higher than your eyes only. And that's not an accident. That is the philosophy behind KJH and his ability to write his characters.
I think it's a respect for the thing they're creating, but a respect for the player as well, right? To understand that we aren't just one-dimensional, right? You know, and it's fine for games to sell goon. I'm not out here pretending I'm above it at all, as I said at the start of the video. But I think it is that sort of like respect that the player can have an enjoyment in something other than it, right? In something that just looks cool or fits the world. You know, nerds love lore. They love the world to make sense visually, right? To make sense aesthetically, and obviously sometimes as well in regards to pure, like, you know, world building canon and all that sort of stuff. You know, people love to go through the history of worlds and stuff. It makes sense when things look like they fit in the world, right? It always can be a little bit jarring when you see a character and it's just like, well, they're at the beach. That's why they look like this. Which is like, okay, I guess maybe if they were, they might be dressed like that. But, you know, it kind of pulls you out sometimes, right? Again, I think it's that sort of it's like a respect for the player and for the art there is the game as well. I like that. Again, passion project, right?
Here's the problem with the thirst model. If your character sells because she's hot, you don't actually need to be interesting. Hot is enough. The design does the work. The writing can be
Brown Dusty's wild, man.
It could be shit thrown at wallpaper. The player's brain already filled in the rest. Project Moon doesn't have that crutch. They can't fall back on, well, she's got a nice design. Because the design is just a depressed office worker in a damn trench coat.
I don't know, I disagree with that there, though. I disagree with that. They can't fall back on, well, she's got a nice design. Because some of these characters have got fucking insane designs, right? They've got insane designs. The middle characters look fucking badass. Like, obviously, I don't know all of the IDs in the game because I'm new to the game and I can't, like, read them off the top of my head. But there's plenty of IDs that I've seen but I'm like, dude, that looks fucking cool, man. That looks cool. So yeah, I think I definitely disagree with that there. I think they can fall back on things look cool, but they look cool because they make sense and they're just really well designed as well, aren't they?
So they have to make you care through writing. They have to make the character.
That's another thing as well.
matter.
I was just about to add that actually, but that's another thing because you care about the character. It makes more sense and it's more interesting to see them in these other guises as well. But I still go back to the fact that even though the narrative is the main selling point of this game, the characters still look fucking cool, man. They still look fucking cool.
And this is where the ID system becomes genuinely brilliant. When you pull an ID in any other gacha game, you're pulling a new character, a new face, a new personality, a new reason to maybe swipe. In Limbus, you're pulling a version of someone you already know. And the ID comes with story fragments. A glimpse into an alternate timeline where things went differently, where this sinner made a different choice, where they joined a different faction, where they became a different person. The pull isn't for the character. You already have the character. The pull is for more of their psychology, their mental state, if you will. That's a completely different value proposition. In Genshin, you want Raiden because she's cool and strong, and you need an electro DPS.
He's right there, right? But I don't know. I would push back against that. You just pull in, like, obviously the narrative thing is incredibly important and this different aspect to them as well. But they are characters in themselves, right? They are kit wise, character design wise, and like the way they are their alters, right? So they are different. So I definitely do think it is part of that as well. Like they can be treated like new units. Well, they are, right? But you know what I mean? Of course, you know, an ID alter of Ryoshu is still Ryoshu, but in the same time, it's not, and it is entirely different itself, right? So I think in that regard, it facilitates the same drive from the player of, ooh, shiny new unit that does shiny cool stuff and looks different, right? It's all tied together because the narrative is the most important thing, and because they care so much about the narrative, the characters' narratives as well, and their story arcs, that is the better way to do it. And obviously the canonically added the reason why we have IDs rather than new units as well, right? And that it's all the better for it. Again, it all comes back to the narrative, right? As Easy said before, this diegetic experience with this game, it's all tied to the story in a sense, and that makes it all the better. All the better.
In Limbus, you want in-corp Sinclair because you need to know why he joined them. You need to see what broke him. The pull is narrative. The pull is curiosity. The pull is, I need more of this specific Sadman's flavor of sadness. And the Cantos are doing foundational work to make that pull function. Canto 4...
I mean, that's fair, but I also do think it is about the kits, right, as well. You know, I think people want specific characters because... or teams because they function in a specific way. Because I've been hearing Burn's really good at the moment, right? You know, Burn's really good, right? So I think there definitely is reasons for people to pull them beyond the narrative experience, especially the people who enjoy the game beyond just doing a canto, coming back when the next canto's out, right? There's people who enjoy to grind mirror dungeons and stuff like that and actually play the game on a sort of more regular basis. Now, of course, in that regard, the game's lacking in terms of certain types of content, which I think we're getting more, right? But yeah, is it Burn? Is it not Burn? I don't know. It is Burn, right? I just saw some of you guys talking about it in Discord, and I was just like, okay. But, you know, there is reasons to be pulling for characters beyond the narrative experience, for sure. And I think that's the same with any gacha game, though, right? The sex can sell. The waifu meta, we joke about this all the time, right? There's 3 reasons to pull. Waifu meta, other fun, other meta, right? And sometimes it can be the different reason. Sometimes they can have all 3, right? They're fun, they look gorgeous, and they're fucking sick. Sometimes the character might not be the best looking, but they're cracked. Sometimes they might be shit, but you're like, dude, I don't care. That's wife, right? It's I think all games do this, and I think Limbus isn't unique in that sense, right? Sometimes you just pull a character because you're going to be like, I need that character because it's fucking, it's sick. Bleed, is he? Okay.
Made you understand Yi Sing's quiet devastation, and then, over the course of the story, you get to actually see him get his wings. Canto 5 turned Ishmael from
okay, we're gonna get spoilers here.
With the shield into a woman who watched everyone she loved die to an obsession. The game makes her pain yours, and by the end, you understand her in a way that no character trailer could ever accomplish.
True.
Canto 6.
Okay. Going past this because I do not want any spoilers there. So I'm going past that. He's basically just breaking down the reasons that are important for each character, right? Which makes sense.
So,
true.
Project Moon did everything.
I mean, gooning over Ryoshu and Otis as well. So, and you guys Ishmael and people over Don as well. So, you know.
Right. No fan service. No.
Yeah, no spoiler
design.
warning as we go deep into like basically giving the endings of Cantos. A good job I've finished Canto 5 there. So we dodged a bullet.
That exist to activate the monkey brain. They built a game that respects their characters.
Yeah.
And well, the community responded by, well, completely, catastrophically, and objectively being down bad anyway. Take Otis, military uniform, full-length pants, the most modest possible outfit for a commanding officer. She looks like she's going to hand you your quarterly earnings report and then fire you for insubordination.
Yeah, but like, women in uniforms. Need I say it anymore?
And yet, there's a man, let's call him Claymantic, who has made thirsting over Otis a core pillar of his online identity.
He's Clay fucking Limbus's freaking what's his name now? I've got him in Discord. Plus, he's Clay. I forgot his name then. He's Clay Limbus's plus.
Identity. Posts, edits, probably a folder. I'm not saying I've seen
I don't think anybody can beat plus, right? Because, like, dude takes gooning to a professional level, right? Like, I can't see Clay being on that level.
I'm saying that the evidence suggests that there is a folder. Clay, if you're watching this, don't stop being you crazy bastard. If your audience needs proof that you're not on the down low, then they need look no further. They know your love for this woman. The engagement is probably great while they question your sexuality, though, isn't it? Merso. This man is a brick wall with a suit. He shows approximately one emotion the entire game. Some people would call it stoic. He answers every question literally, in the fewest possible words, while looking at you like he's reading the terms and conditions. And by any rational standard, this man should be anti-thirst. He should be thirst repellent. He should be...
When I think about it now, I just think everybody in the crew, every single sinner, is just on the spectrum, right? They're all just on all the sinners are just on the spectrum, just in varying degrees, and it shows itself in varying ways right now I think about it. We are just a group of autistic people, right, who have been tasked with collecting the golden bows, pretty much.
The character design equivalent of a cold shower. And yet, his fans, and they are legion because they are many, have decided he is the husband, the one, the man who would do things to them no other character could, specifically because he'd do them with the same facial expression he uses to file his taxes. His autism is not a barrier to thirst. His autism is
really
the
starting to like
thirst.
Mercel.
The community looked at the most emotionally unavailable man in all of fiction and said, he could fix me, and I'll call him daddy while he does it. Even though in the end he wouldn't care to, and somehow that's the appeal to you guys. I don't know how to tell you. Project Moon wrote a character
I love that
that
when he did that.
emote. The audience projected an entire
Like,
romantic
literally read back the messages, like literally. It was funny.
fantasy onto him anyway. And that's not a failure of the no thirst model. That's the model working so damn well it broke containment and achieved escape velocity. Then we got mine, Ryoshu. And look, I need to disclose something here. Claymantic and I are at war over Ryoshu. Actually, ongoing hostilities. He thinks he has a claim, he does not.
Yeah, you can both move aside, boys. You can both move aside. I will. We'll fight over this. We'll fight over this, man. Right? Well, I'm down. I'm down. So you can both step down. She's got a man, and there's that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it.
She's a war criminal who treats violence as performance art. She smokes, she has a sword, and she's fine as hell. And
So how can you tell me that ain't thirst, right? That I don't care about the narrative, about the characters. Just out of context, you see that image. If that doesn't make you thirsty, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. We can't be friends.
I know exactly how to treat her. That's it, Clay. One of these days, we've got a BS in a stream.
Not even with a winch, bro. Bro, man, you'd need King Arthur. You'd need King Arthur to pull me out, bro.
Together, so we can settle this once and for all. Clay, you know where to find me. War aside, Ishmael, the character whose defining trait is that she's so consumed by revenge, she becomes emotionally unavailable to everyone around her. There are people who want to fix her. There are people who want her to make them worse. There are people doing both simultaneously and honestly valid. But that's the punchline, guys. Project Moon gave you nothing. Zero bait. They gave you 15 frame sprites of broken people standing in the rain. They gave you text box of psychological collapse. They gave you characters who are defined by their trauma, their mistakes, their worst decisions. And the community manufactured its own thirst from absolutely nothing. Because the writing made them care enough to project whatever they wanted onto these characters.
It's the human nature of the characters as well, right? I think that, like, adds a little bit more to Limbus characters, right? Like, obviously, we've been joking around, but, like, I do agree with what he's saying in regards to, like, the narrative connection to the characters in the... we get hyped about characters coming out for gacha games, right? And I think this is why I agree with the narrative explanation here, is that we get hyped for characters coming out in gacha games. The drop, they're awesome. And then they don't matter, right, in terms of their connection to the narrative, because they have the patch, they're somewhat important for that patch, and then they're tossed away, right? They rarely matter again. Maybe they'll have little bit parts here and there, but they just don't matter. Where within this game, because they've decided to go down the route that they've gone down in not expanding the cast, and you have a cast, and that's the cast, and you have the IDs, that it allows more connection to the characters, so you do care more when you see these new units as well, right? It is an incredibly important thing. Again, as I say, I do believe people pull for more than just that. You know, they care about kit, they care about design. But I think the design gets inflated as a more important role because there's a bit more of a connection to the character. There's other gacha games. Characters look awesome, right? But until you experience the character in the story, you can't really build that up right, you know, where within this, there's a deep-rooted connection. So when you see a newer version of him, you're like, oh, shit, it's that character I really, really like that now is different, right? So I agree in that regard. Like, and as I said at the start of the video, right, the product is the narrative in this game. So it makes sense to that to be a major connection for the characters as well. I just do think, you know, of course, it just depends. If a character's uber cracked, you're going to pull on an uber cracked character, right? If it's just got the most insane design, sometimes you might not care if you like the character or their narrative experience. That's how I feel anyway. I know some people that matters, you know, the scale and what is a priority is different for everybody, right? But yeah, I agree. Like, the narrative experience it's the selling point for this game, isn't it?
Which means the thirst was never the requirement.
Design gets a foot in the door, character kit is what sells him. Yeah, I think for a lot of people that's, and I think that goes across all gacha games, right? You know, of course, you know, there's different priorities for people. Well, I think that's pretty much universal, isn't it?
The writing was always the requirement. Project Moon throws off normal rules and proves you don't need to sell sex. You need to sell characters worth caring about. And once you...
I think they prove you need to sell quality, right? Quality. Again, because people look at this game and the design is... they're like, well, that isn't quality because it's a 2D chibi style turn-based game with a visual novel experience. That's not quality. I need hype moments and lots of pixels. That's quality because that's the quality we've been sold, right? It's all about production value. But yeah, of course, the narrative is the main thing that creates that quality within this game, right? But yeah, again, the voice acting. I think the voice acting for me is a major component in what sells this game. And I'll even go down to, actually, the artistic production quality in this game. Like, for me, seeing in Kanto 5, you know, when Ishmael does refuse to take vengeance on Ahab, and it cuts to that scene with the heart beating, and then the personification of her standing there with the boat and everything, like, and her picks up the spear and like the way it's animated. Oh, it was so fucking good that was. Like, for me, that was high quality. That was. Now a lot of people will look at that and be like, well, that ain't like Wuthering Waves quality. It's obviously it's a different artistic sensibility, right? But for me, that was fucking peak, man. That was. It was really good. It was like watching a stop motion manga. You know what I mean? A stop motion comic, like.
The audience does the
or
rest
a manhwa, should I say?
free, enthusiastically, directly at Clay's expense. So why doesn't every gacha studio do this?
Okay, I'm interested to see what he got to say here. Because, do you know what I think it is? Man, I shouldn't say this really, because I can't prove this, right? It's like a negative, I can't prove it. I just don't know if they've got the ability to. I just don't know if they've got the ability to, right? I think, when I think of other games out there that have got people out there that might be able to, right? I think maybe Hypergriff, right? I think Reverse. I think maybe Fate, although I've never played Fate. I've heard, you know, FGO, I've heard so many things about the story itself. If they were a little bit more, I guess you'd have to be, you know, you'd have to definitely be willing to take the risk with it as well. Implemented a bit more of a modernized thing with their design for maybe they could make it work, right? But I don't know, man. When I think about a lot of the stories in Gacha, it's hard to say, right? Because like that's the main thing. Incredible narrative has got to be a major part. It's like it's hard to prove, right? Because it's like because the way they're set up, that ultimately hinders storytelling. So it's like without that, could they have done much more? Probably, right? But then at the same time, because you can't prove it, because it's a bit of a negative, it's like it's hard to say. But yeah, man, when I think about like the gacha space, you guys know me, I'm really critical about most gacha game stories, right? But would I be so critical if it wasn't that they weren't set up in the way they were set up in terms of monetization, in terms of patches and stuff like that? Would we have things different? But then I'm like, I don't know, because again, it's a story that feels like it's retold multiple times, right? So yeah, I think that's why we don't really get people copying it, because one, people are scared, and two, I just don't know if they've got the writers for it. If I'm honest, I honestly don't know if they have.
Because writing is harder than art. Full stop on that one, guys. Limbus does well for itself. Very well. The numbers are public. This is not a struggling game propped up by a dedicated cult following anymore. It's making real money. And other studios have seen those numbers. They know the model works. The problem is that the approach is harder. Sex sells itself. You design a hot character, you put them in a revealing outfit, you animate them with physics that activate the monkey brain, and the character sells. The difficulty is in the art and animation. That's a solvable problem. You hire good artists, you spend money on the tech, and your character sells. Writing doesn't work like that. You can't throw money at writing and get good writing. You can't outsource make the audience care about this character's psychological.
I think you can throw money and get good writing, right? But I think ultimately, I think when it comes down to this sort of stuff, you need people who are on board and on a level as well, right? I think there's plenty of good writers out there who are amazing at what they do. But I think sometimes it's just about, you can have a couple of amazing writers in a space that really just doesn't suit what they need to be able to elevate their craft to its ultimate level. The time constraints, the business model constraints, the team itself, middle management, you know, like the suits not being connected with what management believe needs to happen, the production team separate, the writing, the game development team, it's all disjointed, you know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that comes across in Limbus for me, that it feels like everybody's in lockstep, right? You know what I mean? They're all marching to the same beat, if you will. I think Art Knights is a lot more tight-knit like that. And I think Reverse is just because you can just see it with games, can't you? You know, when it feels like a unit was working as a unit. I think that's what a big factor of a lot of modern games has. It's not just about all these things with woke ideology that people like, which I'm not saying is not there. But I just think that you have all these different moving components that are not moving with a singular vision. You know, they're not connected in that regard, where, like, you know, I think back to older games. I think back to games like The Witcher 3. I think they happened for a reason, right? Because you had a moment in time with the team that just was working together for the same goal, like, and I think you see that in games genuinely when they come out, and you're like, you could tell this was a group of people who was all working together and was all, you know, in sync, if you will. It kind of feels like that's what it is with Limbus. It feels like a dev team that's in sync. You know, they've all got the same vision, or at least understand the vision, you know?
You need one vision, a director who knows what they're doing, a writing team that's been
given time
and trust to execute, a narrative structure that's been planned years in advance. You need Project Moon's specific combination of talent and stubbornness.
Yeah. It's like the dream team argument, right? It's the dream team. It's like you see it in football. As a football analogy, you know, you can have the Galacticos. You look at PSG, you know, you had Mbappe, you had Neymar, you had Messi, and then they all left and they go on to win the Champions League back to back. Do you know what I'm saying? Real Madrid's a perfect example of it now. It doesn't always require the best of the best. It requires a team that's well-oiled, right? A machine, you know, that works together. A bunch of people who are team players is much better than the gods. That's why you see people who worked on video games in the past, right, or TV shows or movies, and they made amazing products, right? And then you hear that, oh, so-and-so's going to be working on this game, or they're going to be working on this TV show. It can't go wrong, right? And then it comes out and it's shit, and it's like, well, what happened? And it's like, the team wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? You're only as good as the weakest link, right? And sometimes it's not even just about that. It's just about how things are managed and how the teams are put together, and it just doesn't gel. You know what I mean? Have you seen the new character designs for the recent Wibber Drip marketing? I saw a little bit of that, Renegade. Actually, welcome to the stream as well. I need to have a proper look. We'll have a look in a second. If somebody wants to link me them, I'll have a proper look, actually. What ancient curse? You know, yeah. Literally saying, bro's like, copies me.
Most gacha studios are not run by a singular creative visionary who spent years building this world across multiple games before they even launched the gacha. Most gacha studios are run by a committee that greenlit based on market research. And the market research says thighs sell, boobs sell. For some damn reason these days, feet sell. Limbus Company is an anomaly. It's proof that the Thirst model is not the only model, but it's also proof that the alternative requires a level of craft and commitment that most studios cannot or will not.
I'd argue as well, it's proof that Thirst doesn't have to be surface level, right? You know, sexy isn't just butt naked, right? There's a reason why. I mean, this is a good analogy for me. Maybe not. There's a reason why lingerie sells, in the sense of, like, you know, stockings and stuff like that, because you're covering up a bit, right? It kind of makes it more alluring. And not saying that this is lingerie, do you know what I mean? In terms of the visual aspect as well, but it's not a visual aspect; it's the whole component, right? It's the whole thing together that makes, again, you know, the women in suits, women in uniform, stuff like that. They don't need to be showing any skin at all, and it can be incredibly sexy. I think that's a modern lie was sold, right? Now, obviously, everybody's individual and sees things differently. That skin exposed equals hot, sexy, right? Which I'm not saying it doesn't, but there's the alternative as well, isn't there?
Replicate. And that's why I'm still worried about this game's future. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but it's also why I'm still here. Because when it works, when the writing hits and the design serves the story,
even forgotten the art of tease.
The character you're pulling for is someone you actually want to understand.
The implication is hotter because your imagination can go older. Yeah, agree.
And this is where I stand, guys. I'm going to keep making videos about what scares me about this game's future. That's not going to stop. I'm too invested. But I'm also going to keep making videos like this, because the thing is, Limbus does well. It does.
Well, there's a spoiler coming up. There's a spoiler coming up, is there? Okay, shall I just leave it there then? Shall I just leave it there? Because obviously I don't want spoilers for this game. Leave it there, yeah? No more. No more. Management matters just as much as the talent. It's almost exactly, yeah, exactly, Lich, yeah. Yo, Casual, what's going on, dude? Welcome to the other side, I guess. Yeah, we're talking about the art of Goon. There's an alert to what could be, then everything just being shown. Yeah, exactly. I missed you. Oh, did I? Was I? Oh, you want about earlier on? Unless I might have missed something when I was yapping. Okay, all right then, cool. You missed it, don't worry. Right, okay. I think it's kind of like, I suppose here's the thing I can compare it to as well. It's like horror, right? You know? It's like when you're shown the big, bad, scary thing a lot of the time in horror, it's like, oh, okay. Kind of lost the edge now, right? Usually the thing that gets you is like the shadow, the thing at the corner of your eye, right? The thing in your peripheral vision, the noises, the sounds, the creaking of the floorboards, and then you see the thing, and then it's just like, oh, okay. It doesn't, it really, it's not scary anymore. I yapped through it. Okay, sweet. See, guys, tell you, man, it's a true superpower.
Better than anyone in the industry, and if nobody else is going to talk about why that matters, I will. If you think I've got any of this wrong, the comments are right there. Bring it on. I'll respond. Claymantic, you especially. We've got our unresolved Ryoshu business to attend.
Okay, I'm worried there's going to be. I'm worried there's going to be stuff here. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed this video. I'm going to subscribe to this dude, actually. Got to be careful with the content, though. I've got to be careful with Limbus content creators, though, at the minute, because obviously everybody's further on in the game, and they'll just, hit with something that, like, I'm like, fuck. Where, so far, like, if I'd have been spoiled with, like, Kanto 5, that would have pissed me off, right? Not even in the sense that there's, like, a major plot twist. It's just they're just such emotional, relatable stories. It just would take away from them, wouldn't it? It really would. Yeah, this is a good video. I agree with what a lot he's got to say. I disagree with some stuff, but I think it's just maybe not less disagreeing, but just more adding on to. Again, as I said, this game makes me thirsty, but I totally agree with what he's saying here. This is a game that doesn't sell sex in that sense, right? This is a game that sells story, amazing characters, amazing dialogue, amazing narrative, and I'll keep saying this till the end of my days. The voice actors in this game deserve all of the good things in life because they absolutely killed it. I had a comment on my post the other day when I was saying, people really should try out this game because I've been, like, surprised on how good it is. And I had a comment, and I understand the comment because I'm like it with a lot of games where there was like, man, if there was an English dub for it, I'd play it. And I just responded. I was like, you know what? I would echo this sentiment more often than not. But when it comes to this game, it has to be played in Korean, at least in my opinion, because it's just, I feel like you would lose so much listening to this in any other language. And don't get me wrong, there's amazing English voice actors out there, amazing Japanese voice actors, and amazing voice actors across all regions, right? Typically, we usually think JP is the best. English does a really good job of it, but this game specifically itself is elevated to a whole new level by the absolute incredible work that the voice actors do for this game, you know? Absolutely incredible. I just think there's I don't know if there's anything quite like it, honestly. Now, there's some games that have amazing voice acting, but the cast they got for this game, again, do you know when I was talking about earlier about the dream team? It just feels like they hit lightning, right? That lightning, that like they hit gold. Do you know what I mean? They got the CEO for it. They've got like the artists for it. They've got the music, the bands, the writers, the dialogue, the voice actors, the directors for the voice actors as well. It just feels like they've managed to assemble the fucking Avengers in that regard, and it just makes everything hit right. At least so far for me in the game, anyway. And that doesn't happen often. It really doesn't happen often. You know, and you know, it's an incredible game. It is an incredible game. If AK had a dub, the VAs would be rolling in money. Right. Trust me, bro. Trust me. I think Hypergrip would have gone bankrupt if they had a dub. Honestly, you think of the word count in that game. Just imagine how much money they would have spent on voice acting. It would have been insane, right? Not saying it wouldn't be fucking sick, though, but it would have been insane.